It is time we discuss our favorite reads of 2026 so far. We have so many amazing books. We're going to go through one by one. This is in no particular order either. I'm just going to go off what we have on our shelves and then what we have that I read on KU. So let's get started. Is See Me by Tella Alvarez. This is the most gorgeous, heartbreaking story, but it does have a happy ending, so don't worry. On Goodreads, I marked this as a mix between the friend group in Ginny and Georgia, like the superficial kind of friend group, and mix it with 13 Reasons Why, and you would have this book right here. This follows our FMC who is going through a lot in life. She's not really seen by anybody, hence the title, See Me. And her friend group just does not really see anything that's actually going on. She's not really reaching out for help, but she needs it. Something happens where she's in the lake house with her friends. Check trigger warnings. Obviously, with any book that I read, please check trigger warnings. And from there, she just starts numbing herself any way she can with drugs and alcohol. And the only person that seems to see her is our MMC, who is the new guy in the friend group who she really didn't talk to or get to know this entire time. But you see their friendship blossoming into something more, and he truly gets her. And oh my gosh, this will put you through every emotion. I cried. Books that make me feel like this, I absolutely love. The thing is, everyone looks at her. Everyone thinks that she's so put together. She's so beautiful, but nobody actually sees her. And that's the biggest message. People can look like they're put together and everything's okay on the outside, but until you actually know what's going on inside, you don't really know the full story. So that's why I think this is so beautiful. I think it's just a beautiful story that needs to be told. So See Me by Tella Alvarez. And no surprise here, but Call Me Baby by Nicole Fiorina. If you want yearning in a book, this right here, Mr. Andrew Harding, look no further. And any book that has music intertwined within the story is just one that I can always get behind because it's just so more meaningful and it's more impactful, the entire story. Our FMC has a tragic past. Because of that, she doesn't want to be committed to anybody. She doesn't want any strings. So she always has these men sign contract that they can only call her baby. Only her pleasure matters at the end of the day. She is very well versed in the music industry. However, she's kind of like unnamed. When she meets Andrew, he has her lyrics tattooed on his freaking body. I'm sorry, right there, sold. Their connection is undeniable, but she's very like, I don't want you because I can't mentally. The push and pull between these two characters is just something that I always long for in books because the yearning is just so good. Andrew and Allison are like one of my favorite couples to this day. And book 2, which is the final book in this duet, comes out very shortly. So yes, this is a chonker, but it is worth every page. The writing style is also very unique because the FMC is a songwriter, so her thought process is very choppy and lyrical, which I also loved. I know like you either love it or hate it, but give this book a chance because I can guarantee you it's going to be 5 stars. And then I know everyone and their mother has already read Daggermouth, but I just have to shout this out because this is such a pleasant surprise on a dystopian romance. I've read a couple dystopian romances previously and all of them just hit for some reason. But this hit really hard because our FMC is just a badass. She is part of the rebellion group who is then told to assassinate somebody in high power. However, she gets caught, and then this enemies to lovers is very true. They have pew-pews pointed at each other, and he's turned on by it. The plot twist at the end I was not expecting, and it did have my jaw on the floor. I was basically sat for like 5 business days, just contemplating life because what do you mean? Also, this is a book where you fall in love with the side characters, which I always love when you're invested in the main characters, but also the side characters. I'm really interested in the next book to see where we go from there and see if we get more of these side characters who I absolutely adore. Next up, we have Tell Me I'm Not the Villain by Faith Pincay. I happened to pick this up on a whim, and let me just say I was hooked from page 1. This is also another one that is heavily emotional, traumatic, and will just have you all in your feels. And honestly, this is like from page 1 will have you in your feels. I started reading this at the hair salon, and I'm like, am I supposed to be like okay right now because I want to cry? And honestly, I think I was in like 3 chapters in. We follow our FMC go through so many struggles. It just keeps getting worse before it gets better, and she hits rock bottom. She needs to be saved, and she eventually meets our MMC. He's also struggling, but they needed each other. And then the friend group that she ultimately finds in this book is just so beautiful. It gives Binding 13 vibes because of all the trauma that the characters go through. Just know going into this that you are going to be shocked at the things that this girl goes through. This whole thing is just beautifully written too. So I am excited to read more of this series because I have not picked up book 2 yet, but I desperately need to. So gorgeous story if you need to be in the feels. Then keeping it on theme with emotional reads, because somehow I cannot seem to stop reading emotional books. We have Eternal by Amethyst. It just says, memories sometimes are stronger than the will to forget. And this is a psychological romantic thriller mixed with mafia with a non-HEA. That was a lot of words. Our FMC also has a very traumatic past. This is extremely graphic and depicts so much abuse that it will kind of like churn your stomach. Our MMC meets her because he is hired to assassinate her. But then they're both hired into the mafia where they're hired to kind of like take down people together. This man sees her slaying a room of men and he's just watching her in awe like, dang, she is a baddie. But she is on a mission to unalive everyone that hurt her. So think Mindfuck series by St. Abbey, an even more interesting love story. You have Eternal. So don't expect there to be a happy ending. This will have you bawling your eyes out. But this has so many good elements. It has the revenge plot, like a FMC on a revenge plot. It has the mafia vibes. It has a gorgeous love story. I just want to give these characters like the biggest hug ever. This is not going to be for everybody because of the not happy ending. However, what's for me? All right, let me pull up my Goodreads to see what else we have. One that I do not have physically is Maestro by Auden Dar. This is yearning spanning actual decades. And I would say if you like a love letter to whiskey, I think you'll like this because if you can deal with the cheating, the back and forth, the push and pull over years, you can deal with all the traumatic things that happen in this one. These characters meet at a very young age. They are clearly soulmates from the jump, okay? And then there's also music, obviously, worked into this. This is quite literally right person, wrong time, over and over and over. It will have you wanting to choke these people out. We'll go into this as blind as possible. Just know you're going to be frustrated. You're going to want to throw the book or your Kindle across the room. But these two are soulmates and they need to be together. Stop wasting freaking time. But the writing, so gorgeous. I loved every second of this book. And even my mom just read it and said it was like 5 stars. So I loved it. She loved it. You're going to love it. Okay. This one is a wild one. This is probably one of the most unique books that I've ever read. And this is Clear by Jessica Park. Excuse the frick out of me. What is death tripping? I'm not going to tell you, but oh my gosh. And also the plot twists in this are insane. This book is just so effing unique. It is mysterious. There's grief in it. There's like aspects of paranormal in it. There's romance. What is the synopsis even on it? Our FMC, her mom basically makes her think that she's crazy from a very young age. She goes to the hospital because her dad and her sister get in a really bad car accident. They hit this little boy. When she's in the hospital, she meets this kid and they just have this connection. And years later, she's like, I want to go find him because my family hates me. I don't feel connected to them. They make me feel like I'm going insane. I'm going to meet him. So she heads up on a road trip and finds this man. He's kind of just going through it. I mean, arguably so is she. Their connection is just on a different level. Like they're meant to know each other. And then she meets his best friend. And what does he do? He pew-pews her man. Then all of a sudden, he's alive again. This whole thing is so effing crazy. Her man's best friend also lost his son. We're on a journey to find him again because he's kind of like in the in-between, I don't even know how to freaking explain this. Let me just read the synopsis because this is going to make no freaking sense to anybody. When she flees to Chicago and leaves her toxic family behind, she heads to the coast of Maine to find the one person that brought her peace years ago. This person she once knew has painful secrets. She's determined to heal them both. Healing, however, is challenging when the walls of her everyday existence collapse and when his best friend is the worst enemy. There can be extraordinary love, even if that love comes with a twist. Welcome to Death Tripping. This is a genre-bending read. Please just pick this up and devour it because it's so unique. You will not be able to forget this one. Another book that I read on my Kindle is Saving Rain by Kelsey Kingsley. This is a book that's told only from the MMC's point of view, which I found really refreshing. Our MMC soldier, I want to give the biggest hug to because his mom is an addict. He kind of wants to save her, and the only way that he can is going down for a crime that he did not commit. So he ends up in prison for years and years and years, and he only writes letters to one person, this girl that he knew very briefly and that he thought he saved from a horrible situation when they were kids. And come to find out, he never sends these letters. He's just kind of been yearning for her. Mom's not visiting him in prison. He doesn't really have a family, but the found family that he has with one of the guards is just, it's everything. When he gets released from prison, this guard keeps in touch with him. He is basically his family and gets him set up in a home, at a job. He just wants to build his life better. And he meets his neighbor, and she's a single mom. She's also struggling with something that he doesn't really know on the surface. But once he gets to the bottom of it, he's like, oh my gosh. And I don't want to spoil anything. Top contemporary romances to this date. So freaking good. And next we have Fast by Millie Belizaire. You want another traumatic book that will have you crying, but also has the most gorgeous love story ever. Friends to Lovers done so well. This is the book that you need to read. Those are FMC who deals with the loss of her family, and then she's sent to live with her grandma and her uncle. The saxophones start getting loud really quick because her uncle is not a good person. Her grandma is just like kind of taking a blind eye to everything that's going on. The only person that really sees something under the surface is her neighbor, who is this sweet little boy. And they go to school together. He walks with her, holds her backpack for her, and kind of just has his eye out to protect her from then on forward. You see the found family portrayed in this, honestly so beautiful. And you see the come up story. And I was rooting for them both the whole time because they've just been through struggles. They're dealing with poverty. They're dealing with grief. They're dealing with SA. They're dealing with all these things that you think would bring them down as they get older, but they're just going up in life. They're not trying to be the victim. They're trying to help other people that have been the same situation as them. This is also the right person, wrong time. And once this story does play out, it is so freaking beautiful. In the full circle moment at the end, I was ugly crying outside. But obviously with this too, there's very heavy topics. So please be aware of that going into it. We have Crown Me Dead and Crown Me Yours by Zander. This is a duet that you can read so quickly. It deals with Alara and a rotting kingdom. Our FMC just wants to save her family. This guy seeks her out and says, hey, if you want to save your family, come to the kingdom. I need you to seduce the king so you can feed the crown, meaning she needs to sacrifice herself in order to save everybody. And she's like, I don't care. Let's do it. She's been around death her whole life. The whole kingdom is rotting. She's a grave digger. Her brother is really sick. And things are just not going well. So she's like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. However, once she gets into the kingdom, she realizes things are not as they seem. And I was kind of questioning reality the entire time. But the more and more the story unfolds, I don't want to give any spoilers because a lot of things that I say about book 2 are going to be spoilers. Just know this is kind of like disgusting, the first book. Like there's maggots, there's rotting, there's graphic detail of things that like I don't want to see in real life. But the love story is so heartbreakingly beautiful. You'll be thinking about it for a long time. I would highly suggest this to anybody. And the books are really short, so you can honestly read each book in one sitting. It's very atmospheric, very gothic, and it does get quite dark at times. But yeah, this is good. The Five by Lily White. If you also want something that is dark, twisty turny, and that will have you just like excuse the heck out of me once it's done, go read this. This one also deals with a FMC who has a very traumatic past. She's taken advantage of a lot by her mom's boyfriends and significant others. They move to this new place. Her neighbor's house has 5 men living in this home, and she kind of goes over there day one. And in order to kind of cope with everything that's going on in her mind, she just kind of seeks out things to numb her, so alcohol and drugs. And her neighbors are happy to supply those to her, pending she starts giving her body away to them. And you see this kind of just unravel, and it just keeps getting more and more and more traumatic. But this story is very unique because it's told from the perspective of present and past timeline, from her being interviewed by a criminal psychologist, because all of these men have died. So she is the prime suspect in this. Did she do it? You'll have to find out once you read this, but just know a couple plot twists that I personally did not expect and I did not see coming. It gets a little crazy, but this is a good one, and this is also one that will definitely stick with you for a long time. A more recent read that I just found on a whim on, I don't even know where I found this, is After the High by A Noire. Oh my gosh. There is a reoccurring theme with me recently where I like to be emotional over fictional worlds, fictional characters, words on paper. And this is one that does not have a happy ending, but you will feel gaslit into thinking that you love this couple and then realizing slowly that things are not as they seem and the red flags are blatantly obvious in our face and we ignore them all. This follows our FMC, who's also dealing with the loss of her family, and she is just trying to find herself after being so stuck in this like depressive state. She meets this guy and they kind of just hit it off from day one. He's screaming green flags all around. She says something, he notes it in his mind and then takes her to a gallery because she loves art. Just like these little things that are like, oh, he's so cute. Like, I'm so glad she's happy. And you see her coming out of her shell and being this happy, happy person. However, the foreshadowing in this is so poetic. You see the MMC start to uncover his past with his family on how his dad is very abusive, very like the relationship his mom and dad have is very toxic. And his mom is definitely like a shell of herself now because of all the abuse that she's been through. He tells our FMC, if I start acting like my dad, leave me, please. That is the foreshadowing that we needed. He also has this really weird friend group, this female who's weirdly obsessed with him, and his best male friend, who is very possessive, is just a piece of crap all around. But once the red flags start showing, our FMC starts turning into his mom, ignoring her friends, not seeing the red flags that are just in her face. And he eventually does hurt her, so it gets bad. This did have me crying, but the writing was so poetic and beautiful that I would highly recommend this to anyone who can deal with the trigger warnings of domestic abuse, violence, all of that. I absolutely adored this story, and I cannot wait to see more of what this author eventually puts out too, because this is actually her first book, which is wild. Those are my favorites so far in 2026. We still have some months to go, so hopefully we can find some more 5-star God tier books that I will forever be recommending. So at the end of the year, I'll be interested to see what else we have on this list. If you have had any 5-star reads this year, please let me know so I can add that to my TBR and I can pick them up as well. And I will see you next time. Bye.